What is up, everybody? It is Wednesday, April 21st. You know the finals results, but we don't yet. So we're going to talk NBA finals. We're going to talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. Still, again, we're still talking about this dude. There was a GOAT alert last week, greatest MMA fighter all time. We got to talk about that. And the SEC making some very interesting declarations. That and so much more of The Wire starts right now. What's up, everybody? Fellas, welcome to The Wire. I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite things that happens every single week because I get to chop it up about sports with three of my best friends. Four, usually. We'll be seeing Marvin real soon. How you fellas doing real quick?
Good.
Good. Well, everybody's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So let's dive on in. All right. So we'll get this one out of the way first because I thought this was interesting. And Richie, thinking way back to early Wire, I think you had a take about this. And so I had to bring it to the attention. The SEC declared this week that they are not planning to postpone any games this upcoming season due to COVID-19 in particular. So what that means is if a team is not healthy enough to play, like for example, we covered, I think it was Virginia Tech that had 15 players out and could not show up. So they postponed. They will have to forfeit coming into this season. So I want to send around the horn first question. Should the teams be held accountable, which is essentially, in my opinion, what this is? The teams are now accountable for keeping their team healthy, or should the league continue to show a little more leeway? Richie, let's start with you, man.
I mean, this is tricky. I think I was a lot more, how do I want to say this, aggressive about it last year when COVID first started. I'll still say the same thing, which yes, the team should be held accountable. But I think what makes it a little tricky is, at the end of the day, these colleges can't force or enact a vaccine on a student, right? So, I mean, this goes back more to the education of like understanding what the vaccine is, because I think a lot of people who are like, in particular, anti-vaccine they view it as like a flu shot, whereas like they think in their head, they're getting like a small COVID dose shot into them twice. And that's not what this is. So just to clarify what the vaccine is, if you don't know what the vaccine is it's basically an mRNA, which is basically what the vaccine does when they shoot you, inject you, I should say, not shoot you. When they inject you with the vaccine, you're getting your body is basically being told you need more like a particular protein. And this protein is what's going to fight off the COVID flu, essentially, right? So that's what this vaccine is, and your body needs time to adjust, and that's why there's a 3-week grace period. So that's what the vaccine actually is. It is not a regular flu vaccine. They're not injecting COVID into you. So having said that, the schools still need to be accountable, just because at the end of the day, like if I came ready and my students were ready, whether they have a vaccine or not, if they follow protocol properly, we shouldn't be punished and we shouldn't have to deal with it, Like, and this actually happened in the NFL to the Steelers quite a bit as well. And the NFL is doing the same thing. Now, don't get me wrong, they're a terrible team. They're going to lose anyway. But the point being is it was unfair to them because of what happened, they had to play so many so quickly together, right? Yeah, there's the Steelers hat. I had to get him. But having said that, it's challenging. You cannot force your students to do anything. You can force your staff because you employ them. But again, these are children and they're like adults, but you know what I mean? They're children, but they're allowed to make their own decisions. You cannot like withhold things from them. Their health and medical records are their own, right? But you cannot necessarily request those types of things. Now, yes, they can be checked and they have to be checked due to the COVID protocol. But having said that, it is their choice. A school cannot force them and should not be able to force them. Everyone should have their own choice. But having said that, if that student is not doing a vaccine, and this is what this would ultimately lead to, and then they don't have enough players to operate based on those players, then they absolutely should. And, this will hopefully get people to understand that if you're going to be unvaccinated, then you really have to follow protocol. So you don't let your teammates down in this sense, let alone like the world and their serious problems. But at the end of the day, there should be no shortcuts. There should be no postponements. There shouldn't be a 6-0 Ohio State team complaining and yada, yada, yada. It is what it is at the end. You know what I mean? They should have gotten their free win, all that stuff. So the point being is, I'm glad the SEC is doing this. I hope the other conferences will follow suit, but we'll have to see.
Just some figures to back that up. Right. As of right now, 6 out of the 14 teams in that conference are 80% or more vaccinated. So it's not quite a heavily vaccinated group just within that conference. Sahi, what are your thoughts on it, man? Should the teams be held accountable in this manner, or should the league give them more of a break?
They should be held accountable. If you're not going to stay safe and do the things you need to do, then it's going to cost you a win. But at the same time, it's like, who knows how you catch this thing? You get tested for it, and you have it. So it's a tricky situation. You're wrong whichever way you go about it. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing to do is just make a decision as they did and just go with it. It's going to be unfortunate that some teams are going to have to forfeit some games, but that's just the new world we're living in.
Trey, do you anticipate the other leagues picking this up? And also the same question. I mean, do you think that the SEC is making the right move, and do you think the other leagues will follow suit?
I think the SEC is making the right move. I think each team and each individual is responsible for their own, however they want to do it, whether it be getting the vaccine or putting themselves in a self-imposed isolation. You're an elite athlete, you know the type of sacrifice you have to make. And you said the same thing about the Sha'Carri Richards and what she had to do, and she decided not to do it. You have to make sacrifices as an athlete. That's a part of your job description. You're not a regular person. So if you want to go out or celebrate something with the potential, and you know you haven't been vaccinated and you could potentially get COVID, that's on you. You made that choice. You get paid not to make that choice, but you made that choice. So that's how I feel about it.
That's a good point. So my last question on this was actually going to be, who now, taking the league out of the picture, who should be more responsible when it comes to this? Is it the organization or the players themselves? Who should take more accountability for the players' health?
I say players.
Sahi?
It's the organization. The teams, they have to be held accountable. Get some more guys in there. If somebody, because it's going to happen at some point, that somebody at some position is going to go down. So make sure you got extra guys in there so it's not an issue.
Keep in mind too, this is one where if it makes its way into the team and you don't hit the right protocols within practice or even to a game, how many people could get exposed? Richie, what are your thoughts? Should it be the teams themselves stepping up here, or the players?
I'm gonna go with the players on this one. Again, I was kind of the coin flip since Trey and Sahi went there. But to me, like I said, it's individual. Like, think of it this way: at the end of the day, it is technically the teams. Like what Sahi's saying. Like if I'm a business and my employees are problematic, at the end of the day, I'm accountable by the government. Like, so technically, the team is accountable, but to me, it's really the players, because they're the ones choosing. Like we just discussed, this is choice. And since they have the choice to not get this vaccine, they're also the ones who are choosing to not follow the protocol. The college can only legally do so much. Now, if they had more like control over these players and they could enforce things, then I would say it's up, it's the teams. But unfortunately, or fortunately, however, if you're a super willing to let organizations have that kind of control, they can't. So the players can do what they want. You can't prevent. And again, these are kids. I emphasized this earlier. kids who want to party, kids who want to do these things, but these same kids who may not have the vaccine and want to do these things, that can cause this disruption. So at the end of the day, that's why I believe it's in the players, although from a legal standpoint, it's always going to be the organization's fault. So.
Heck yeah, folks, let us know what you think in the comments, please. We're going to move on. Last week, we had season 4's first GOAT alert, and Mr. Sahi came out and named John Bones Jones as the greatest of all time when it comes to mixed martial arts, or UFC specifically.
Exactly.
So we went around the horn. There was a quick yes, we can debate that. I think Richie went first, so we'll go Richie, Trey, and then actually no, this is how we did it last time. Sahi, you got to state your case for John Bones Jones is the greatest of all time. Then we'll go Richie, Trey, and let it open from there.
I mean, this is gonna be real short, guys, because everybody knows John Jones. He is the greatest UFC fighter of all time. Come on now. He's got the physical attributes. He's got the athletic ability. He's got the talent. He wrestles. He knows the arts of fighting. I'm not going to name them all. His striking is top notch, out of this world. Nobody's ever been a striker like him. You know what I'm saying? Did I already mention the star power? Did I already mention that? Nobody's a draw like John Jones. And I haven't even brought it. I said this is going to be short, but I need to wrap it up. But his resume speaks for itself. The guys that he beat, over half of his fights are in championships, high-level fights, and he hasn't lost any. Come on now.
Not true. Not accurate statement.
Come on now. Well, you talking about the DQ when he was whooping that guy?
We'll get into that. There's also the no contests that we're going to be discussing too, so sure.
I mean, everybody's taking something in the UFC. These guys, I'm not saying they're taking something as in HGH or performance enhancers, but they're all
like John Jones is.
They're all taking supplements, all right? They're all taking something to help you recover. They have health gurus coming at them left and right. Because these are the best athletes in the world. And you're talking about the number one best athlete in the world, John Jones. I mean, is in fighting, you know.
Okay.
We got another GOAT alert. We got another
GOAT athlete.
Greatest athlete of all time.
Greatest athlete of all time.
Greatest fighter of all time. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're all taking something. And sometimes these things get, you know what I'm saying, there's something might be in something and you don't always know. Hint the picograms or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So he's not intentionally cheating. He doesn't have to. He's the best fighter to ever step into that UFC octagon.
So
he doesn't have to cheat these guys. He's the best fighter to ever step in that octagon.
Okay.
All right.
Who's done it better than John Jones? Come on.
Richie, you're up first. You can answer that.
I want to hear this.
Okay. So here, my argument's going to be a little different than Sahi's ready for, because here's what I'm going to say. John Jones is the greatest light heavyweight of all time, but John Jones is not the greatest. And we're talking UFC, just to clarify for our fans. Last week, Sahi said UFC. We're not talking all of MMA and Fedor Emelianenko and going into all this stuff. It's UFC. That's what we're referring to. Now, to me, I cannot, and here's why I will say John Jones is not the GOAT. And then I'll go into who I believe is the GOAT. But let's go with why he's not the GOAT. Very simple, performance enhancing against Sahi's point. Let me clarify another example. This is just me as a person. I'm very consistent. Barry Bonds, if you look at his on-base percentage, if you look at like what he's capable of and what he's done in his career, it's hard to argue he's not the greatest baseball player of all time. But there's not a single journalist or writer who will go to bat to say it because of his tainted substance period during 2000 to 2004. And that's when his on-base percentage was insane, 2001, 2002, 2004. Anyways, back to the John Jones point. Sahi, his DQ is a loss. And let me explain. Oh, I'm going to get in. I am huge into MMA. And UFC. Here's why it's a loss. Let me explain.
All right.
In the year 2000, that was UFC 1. Okay. Now there's a guy named Big John McCarthy. Everyone knows him, Big John. He was the first referee, and it happened in UFC 1. There was a 12-6 on Zane Frazier. Almost killed him. So McCarthy said, the 12-6 is what we're referring to. It's a straight down elbow shot. Okay. So 12-6, UFC 1. McCarthy really said, hey, this is not a good idea. We should be prohibiting this, because in the beginning, in the first UFC, everything goes. There was nut punches, pardon my language, and all those types of things. So McCarthy felt very, very strongly. And then ABC, which is the Association of Boxing Commission in 2006, they worked with the committee to unify rules of boxing and MMA. So anyways, in short, in 2006, UFC ruled that a 12-6 is an illegal strike. When did John Jones do this 12-6? And let's clarify, to Sahi's point, that I don't remember the deaf kid's name anymore. I don't really care. Matt the Hammer something.
Matt Hamill. Matt Hamill.
This was like in 2009, 3 years after that. He was getting his butt whooped. And let me clarify, there was no chance Matt Hamill was winning that fight, period. But
he lost.
When you're an athlete and you have rules to abide by for disqualification purposes, you have to understand what strikes are legal and illegal. Let me give you an example. John Jones knows this, for instance. If someone were to shoot on him and John decided to knee them in the head, he would automatically get disqualified. And he knows better, and he would never do that. And by the way, knee strikes like that have happened and disqualifications had happened. So the argument that John's elbow strike, because it's the only 12-6 in UFC history to be a disqualification. Well, the reason why is it's the only 12-6 that's happened through 2009. That was so many strikes. Usually after that, and after McCarthy called that, anytime one 12-6 happens, they immediately pull the fighters apart. They give them the corner and they get 5 minutes. Now, this was the first incident where the 12-6 were happening. And John was, honestly, Matt Hamill's lucky he's alive. He was getting whooped by these 12-6s. And it was like 8 or 10 of them before they finally pulled him off. And then they realized, then McCarthy's like, well, these were 12-6s. So quite frankly, what should have happened to John's, in defense of John, is after the first elbow, they should have pulled him up and said, back up and give Matt Hamill 5 minutes. And then if Matt couldn't do it, then technically that's when John gets disqualified. Now, this was already a long tangent, but that's why that DQ, in my opinion, is a loss. It's his job to know what he can and can't do professionally. And he didn't understand that. That's a huge problem. And he learned from it. So again, this doesn't mean just because he lost, he's not the GOAT. That's not my argument. I'm just qualifying why that loss is legitimate. Now, my problem is he's been suspended 3 times from the UFC. The first one I don't care about. He was on cocaine, hit a pregnant lady in a car. I'm serious. That's whatever. I don't care what you do in your personal life. That's not the argument. I'm just clarifying that technically he's been suspended 3 times.
It's whatever.
It's whatever. No, I mean it. It's not. Whatever. Who am I to judge a person's character in their body of work? It has nothing to do with his body of work. I'm just mentioning he's been suspended 3 times. One was not related to his profession. So anyways, having said that, although ironically, he was on cocaine when he knocked out Daniel Cormier in their first fight, by the way. So he was banned in UFC 200 for the second Cormier fight. He didn't get to actually do it. And it was for 2 testosterone builders, which is what Sahi's trying to say. But let me clarify something. When you have massively boosted testosterone, that's exactly what a steroid is. It's to boost your testosterone. That's what they do. He was caught with 2 separate metabolites, 2 different ones. So he served, a 1-year ban. Then UFC 214 is where he did fight Cormier, and he knocked him out in the 3rd round. But guess what? 4-year ban because he was on another different testosterone builder. Now, again, we can talk about the whole cocaine because that's some of the argument. Well, he was on cocaine. He needed testosterone for his woman, yada. Take his personal life out of the equation. The point is he was banned 2 separate times for 3 different testosterone builders, okay? UFC 232 is what we're talking about, where it's the picogram, right? That's where the 3rd time they were arguing if they were going to suspend him. But what it turned out to be is that same 232 picogram was from 214. So that's how long steroids can stay in your body. over a year and a half, 18 months is how long that the second suspension steroid was in his body. So that's why he didn't get suspended again. So to clarify, John Jones only took steroids like in test results twice, not 3 times, twice. All right. Now the steroids are even, that's just why I don't view him as the GOAT. But the reality is he does have another loss. And this is where the statistics come. All right. He fought a guy named Reyes. I don't know if you guys actually watched that fight, Dominic Reyes. But to clarify, he lost that fight. He technically won, but he lost this fight. Let me explain something to you, okay? 21 journalists scored that fight. 18 of them had it for Reyes 3-2. From the fans, 72.6% of fans from MMA Decisions, MMA Fighting, Sherdog, and Reddit combined, aggregated, had Reyes winning 48-47. 10% had Jones 48-47. And then the balance, which is 3.2%, were for Reyes winning 50-48. Although nobody realistically thinks Reyes won 50-48. He only won rounds 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now rounds 1, 2, and 3, just to clarify, he significantly outstruck Jones. And in the entire fight, he had 22 more punches, 16 more power punches. Okay. Now in the first round, he slipped and they didn't count it a knockdown, which is correct. Right. I'm just pointing that out. In the third round, he defended a takedown. So I don't know if you guys know much about how UFC works, but one of the points is if you defend a takedown, that's an advantage on the card. Realistically, if somebody's shooting,
how many times did he get taken down?
We'll get to that. So in the third round, he blocked the defense because here's where everything happened. The third round is where some people gave John Jones, but he got outstruck and he didn't take him down. So how does he win that round? So anyways, round 4 and 5, to Sahi's point, he got 1 takedown in round 4 and 1 takedown in round 5. And he had to do it because he was losing on, I'm not blaming him for wrestling him. That's the right approach. But the bottom line is, how do you win a round when you didn't get your takedown and you got outstruck by 12 punches? He shouldn't have won that. He should not have won that fight from a decision. What the problem is with judges. It's this, he's the champ, he deserves to hold the belt unless you knock him out bullcrap. That's a terrible sentiment. So the only reason why I don't think he's the GOAT is the steroid use. It has nothing to do with him losing to Reyes. I don't care about losses because guess what? There is no UFC fighter that's ever going to remain undefeated. Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, Khabib, Conor McGregor, all these guys, they've all had losses or no decisions, etc. And that's the reality for John Jones is he cheated so much they had to do a no decision and a no contest on his match against Cormier. And he had a loss with his elbow strikes. That one I find more egregious than the steroids, quite frankly, because again, that's something that's in his control. We can easily argue he was taking supplements, to Sahi's point, and he didn't realize what is in his body. But the bottom line is he one of the most skilled fighters in the world? Absolutely. Is he the greatest light heavyweight champion of all time? Not even fucking close. There's nobody near this guy in light heavyweight. But at the end of the day, why I think GSP is slightly above him, not just for the cheating, is he's won 2 belts. If John Jones wins the heavyweight title, I will change my vote. And we've been on for a while now, and I've always said GSP is better than John Jones because GSP took a 4.5-year break, went up a division, took the belt from Bisping, who had just beaten Anderson Silva and destroyed him, beat him, dropped the belt and said, I just wanted to prove I'm better than everyone else. And he did it. And that's my point. If John Jones can win the heavyweight title, which is his goal, and he wins that heavyweight title, my argument is over. I don't even care about the steroids anymore. But until he actually moves up a weight, because all he's doing is beating tin cans and then actually losing, the last time, in my opinion, he lost to Reyes. He has to prove that he can at least win it in another division. That's what I want to see, because at this point, he's got nothing to prove in light heavyweight. He's trying to call out Blachowicz instead of actually doing a rematch with Reyes, and that's my point. If you're the best, if you're the GOAT, and everyone's saying you had a decision fight that you shouldn't have won, wouldn't you want to validate that you're better and beat that guy again? He's ducking him. Why is he ducking him? Because he doesn't think he can beat him. It's that simple. And if he's the GOAT, he wouldn't be ducking anybody. He'd go right back at him and say, let's go. It's that simple, Sahi.
Because Reyes has got his ass whooped in his last few fights.
In his last fight.
There's no point to prove. There's no point to prove.
Technically, he lost to John, and then he did lose his next fight, and you're correct.
He got beat by a guy that was fighting in his first UFC match. Destroyed him. You know what I'm saying? And this dude came up in his UFC debut. I think he got knocked out twice. His last two fights.
He got knocked out his last fight.
I'm gonna have to look it up. It's got to be his last two.
Oh man.
There's no.
That's his last fight, and he got destroyed. In the third round, he got knocked out for sure. Dominic Reyes.
All right, so
brutally. I agree with that.
So we've heard GSP. Trey, the spotlight is on you.
That's the answer, GSP.
Well, I was going to say GSP. I didn't have as detailed as response as Richie. I was going to say GSP, and I was going to say John Jones has had the potential to be the GOAT UFC. And like Richie said, if he goes and gets the heavyweight belt, then he could potentially still get there. But with so many failed drug tests, I mean, like I said, I'm really big on responsibility and sacrifice. Like, he knows the rules. Like, so whether he beat their ass or not, it doesn't count as a win. He knew what he did, and he did it anyway. The third time was a repercussion of the shit he shouldn't have did. The stuff he shouldn't have did the second time. So,
he was hiding under the ring when they were trying to drug test him. Come on, Sahi.
Yeah. So he's potentially, with his skill set, with what he's been able to do, he's amazing. Sahi, amazing fighter, great fighter. But he had to take it there when he didn't have to. So you can't say that he was the greatest fighter.
One of the greatest.
One of the greatest. He's one of the greatest.
No, he's one of the greatest. I don't think anyone would argue.
Is number one.
Okay. You can have it back, Simon. Go ahead.
GSP can be 3, 4, 5. Because there's a lot of guys you could throw up there. You got Anderson Silva. You got Israel Adesanya. You got Khabib. You got Usman. You got a lot of guys staking their claims right now. But as far as the resume goes and the way he won those fights and the hype around it, there's nobody that had a better run than John Jones.
He's just more popular? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying he's more popular, but he's beat the bigger names.
Popular.
McGregor is the number one star ever in UFC.
That's not even
as far as the way he won his fights, the level of fights that he's had, the consistency, the overall, the package. Who cares about all the other stuff? It's the fight game. You know what I'm saying? That's why you win it. This guy's been fighting in championship fights since he got into the UFC. All right. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? You need a little something extra. They breaking him down in there. You know what I'm saying? They ain't paying nothing. He doing it basically for legacy, and the legacy is solid, and it's there. It's never going away.
The legacy is solid.
Y'all can say what you want. GSP won some titles, and he's like, oh well, this is what I did to prove I'm better. I don't have to fight anymore. John Jones is still fighting. He had his UFC debut in 2000.
He's 20. How old is he?
He had his UFC debut.
He's only 34.
Yeah, he had his UFC debut in 2008, and he's still going. All right.
Okay. All right. Sahi, to your point, your argument.
When was GSP's UFC debut? Tell me that.
2002. GSP has fought the exact same amount of fights as John Jones, and he retired twice. So John hasn't been fighting as much as you're claiming.
He retired a couple times. John Jones retired a couple times.
No, John Jones did not retire, Sahi. He was suspended. There's a difference between being suspended and retiring.
Basically the same.
He was suspended for 3.5 years.
Marvin's not here to take up Sahi's back, but I will say it is possible for GSP to come back or one of these guys to go into their 40s because GSP's 40 now, but
GSP is 40.
We saw Randy come back at 43 and win it. He beat a big trash can. Well, you guys are all wrong. You know who the GOAT MMA fighter is? I said it before and I'm going to say it again. Until they give her somebody that can beat her, it's just the damn truth. Amanda Nunes. 24
Come on, bro.
Okay, you know what? Maybe you'll agree with me. If they ever allow it, if she agrees and they find someone who is genetically a match for her on the men's side of things, if she wins over there, do you give it to her then?
If she beats a dude in mixed martial arts, legitimately, let's even say she knocks him out.
She probably would.
Done. That's done.
Here's my problem.
That's done.
21-4-0.
Here's my problem with her. It's not that she's not amazing. She's head and shoulders above her talent. But the problem is we can't judge how good she is because everyone else is garbage. And that's not to say women are garbage. It's the competition is garbage.
She did beat Ronda.
The problem, man.
She did beat Ronda. She did beat Holly.
Ronda's garbage. Holly's garbage. Cyborg is a cheat, and I don't even care. We've already talked about that. Anybody who on steroids is a cheat and invalid to me.
I want to see Amanda Nunes and Clarissa Shields. That'll be the one for the ages.
Like Amanda is a GOAT, but yeah, I don't know about the GOAT.
Yeah, only way I give her the GOAT of everything is if she looked up on Francis Ngannou. And that's so the women's side, yeah, she's the
What is wrong with
you, Sai?
She put Francis in an arm bar. I'm like, they done took over.
All right, folks, you're watching The Wire. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to talk a little Aaron Rodgers, and we got to cover the finals as they were when we recorded it. You're watching The Wire. We'll be right back.
Oh my God.
Oh, say at least one time. You gonna say something, bro. Bro,
it was a legitimate argument, and then he had to.
All right. We've finally cooled everything down here in the H2G studio for The Wire. Everybody's back into their seats. It's time to talk a little bit about the NFL before we get on to the final. We've talked about this man a lot this season, and this is not typical. I'm tired of talking about it, but we are now, as of tonight's release, 6 days from the official team practices in Green Bay. And guess who is not conceded yet? Aaron Rodgers, sticking to his guns. As of right now, he does not want to play for Green Bay. Now, some things that we've said on the show in the past that I think are important to bring up is that Green Bay has the advantage here. And I want everybody to be aware of that going in. They do not have to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. He is contractually obligated to play for them or quit. So with that being said, what, if anything, my first question on this, what, if anything, can or should Green Bay do? And we're on reverse order. So Trey, we'll start you out.
Let's do exactly what they're doing. Aaron Rodgers is, I mean, you did what you did. You said what you said about it. Like at some point, you have to like turn that corner and just ride that wave, I guess. Like, what else? You gonna let him Brett Favre you again? Like, whatever. He's contractually has to pay. If he doesn't play, you don't pay him. You test out Jordan Love, see what you got there. I mean, I guess. Or try to trade him and see what you can get for him. Like, but take your time.
Sahi, what do you think? Keep going. Do you have more? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I don't like the back and forth thing. Like, do what you're gonna do. Kind of just make a decision, stick with it, and let it be that decision. But make sure that it works for you as best as you can. As far as Green Bay Packers side, I mean, Aaron Rodgers in a contract. I don't know.
Very true. Very true. Sahi, what do you think, my man? What, if anything, should Green Bay do in this situation?
What should Green Bay do? Absolutely nothing, I don't think. Just keep them right where you are. Because where is he going to go? You know, what I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm always flip-flopping. Like, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure he's going to stay. It's just, I don't know why we're talking about Aaron Rodgers so much. I mean, he's the MVP. I guess Denver wants him, but who are they going to give up to? You know what I'm saying? Who are they going to give up to get him? Denver doesn't have anybody to give up, so, except draft picks, maybe. But there's nowhere for Aaron to go. I think that's pretty obvious. What are we doing here? You signed the contract. You didn't get the team where you wanted them to go ultimately, Aaron Rodgers. So stop crying that you got one of the top teams. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop this. Let's stop this right now. Aaron, put your jersey on. Put the 12 Green Bay Packer jersey on. You go out there, you practice, and you try to get better every day. Because I'm not going to say it. But yeah, just do what you got to do. Because in the end, it's not really going to be worth much. Because, you know what I'm saying? There's other teams out there that's going to be doing it. So whatever happens with Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter. Let's end it right there.
I've got an answer to your question while we're talking about him in just a second. But moving on to you, Richie. Same question. I just want to put in there. His salary for this year, if we're going based off his average, would be somewhere in the ballpark of $33.5 million. Granted, that's going to start ticking the opposite direction here in about 6 days. What do you think, Richie?
Well, I have to point out to the audience that I was laughing uncontrollably when we got back from break, and I'm sure Trey noticed. It's very hard to articulate a point you want to make when you're just concerned about what the hell Sahi's about to say. That's I was just laughing uncontrollably. So, you know, all I'm going to say is Sahi just said the guy who had statistically one of the greatest seasons ever should just get better every day. But you know what? He's right, because he's no Tom Brady. He's no Tom Brady, right? Like, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady has had years where he has nothing. And you never see that man complain in the public. And here Aaron Rodgers is with one of the best teams in the NFL, and he's upset because they drafted a guy without giving him a heads up that they're going to draft a guy, just like Brett Favre did, and he went through the experience. So it's a little ironic. Allegedly, Jordan Love's looking pretty good now. That's what they're saying through reports from Fowler. So I don't know. All I'll say is this. Green Bay, I am with the other guys. Green Bay should do whatever they want to do, which is absolutely nothing. Aaron Rodgers has no power in this situation. He's 37 years old and he's about to lose a year if he really does sit out. That doesn't help him in any capacity, let alone he ain't going to get his bag. So if I were Aaron Rodgers, at some point, I'm just going to accept the fact that I want my money. You know, like, it ain't worth losing $30+ million or whatever Justin just said it was. So at the end of the day, if I were Green Bay, I'll let him sit out a whole year, like, genuinely. And then if he wants to do it again, that's when I'll trade his ass, even for like one first-round pick, because you're getting something and he just lost an entire year of his career. You know, like, you don't really lose anything. Now, from Aaron's standpoint, as a player, if he feels this wrong by the GM and this stuff, then sit down, bro. You got the money, but I don't think it'll last. I think at some point he's going to cave. Green Bay they hold all the cards. This is like Aaron Rodgers is on a 17 and he's saying, hit me in blackjack right now. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You're about to lose for no reason. So I don't see what he's thinking. I don't know why he's doing it. I agree with the fellas here. Green Bay, do nothing. Like, let this guy lose money for free if he wants to. He certainly doesn't need to go to these camps because outside of Tom Brady, he's the best quarterback in the league. He doesn't need practice. So this doesn't matter. Let him waste money you don't have to pay him because he's going to give up and then he's going to play and then you just save some money anyway. So like nothing happened to you.
That's so I'm gonna turn the key just a little and then we'll put this to bed. That's a good point. My question is, how much money do you think Aaron's willing to lose? Would he sacrifice? I mean, he's probably made, he doesn't seem to be the lavish type. I don't know his spending habits, but his average salary is $33.5 million. Is he willing to lose the whole piece of pie? We'll send that back around. And as a bonus to that, is Green Bay a Super Bowl team with him? And could they possibly be without him? And we'll go back reverse order back to Trey. So, Richie?
Oh, yeah. He meant reverse back to me. He said Trey for some reason.
Oh, sorry.
Total career earnings, $240,943,000 before taxes. That's how much he's made. So I'm pretty sure he could not take this year. Not saying he's going to. Are they a Super Bowl contender without him? Hell no, they're not. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. Can they get into the playoffs with Love? From, like I said, early trajectory, it's possible. Do they win without him, though? I don't think so. Because Devontae Adams and him have a connection. And I'm not saying Devontae's not still an elite and arguably best wide receiver in the league without him. But I don't think he's going to, then he's not better than like D-Hop and things like that, in my opinion. So can they make the playoffs without Aaron Rodgers? Possibly. They've been a fantastic, honestly, a very solid defense. The run game is by committee, but we're very solid. I think they're top 5 in rushing. Let's not forget that. And, again, allegedly Love could be decent. And as long as he's a Trent Dilfer and he's like 50-50 and not like really turning the ball over, but just like passing, they could win 10 games in that division. I don't see why not. That division sucks. It's the Bears. It's the Lions. It's the Vikings. Like, they could easily still make the playoffs with Love. We don't even know anything about this kid. I don't even know the kid's first name. I just remember his name's Love. And that's good enough because that's all you need. They're good enough to be good enough with Jordan Love. Like, whatever, man. Like, they can make the playoffs. They won't win the Super Bowl. That's the answer.
Sahi, that is a great point that Richie just brought up. There's really a big question mark on Jordan Love. Even Green Bay doesn't know what Green Bay looks like yet with Jordan Love, aside from what they got in their summer training camps. They're going to be going into practice in a week. What do you think?
Aaron Rodgers. Repeat the question again. I'm sorry. So
the full force question is, how much is Aaron Rodgers willing to lose? You can answer that. But the main question here is Green Bay a Super Bowl team with Aaron Rodgers, and could they be without him?
They're definitely not a Super Bowl contender without him. They're not even playoff contenders for sure. He is the offense. He's the MVP for a reason, most valuable player. So their offense goes because of Aaron Rodgers. But how much money is he willing to lose? He's probably willing to lose every cent of it if the stance he's taking is really the stance he's taking, and not wanting to return to the team, whatever is going on with that. So he's probably willing to lose it all. He knows he's the entire team for real. Yeah, like Richie said, they got a nice little running game. They got a great defense, but receiving core, it's not really too much there besides Devontae Adams. It's Aaron Rodgers that really makes that thing go. So without him, they're not going anywhere.
Trey, same question, and then we'll bounce over to the NBA.
All right, I just want to point out that Trent Dilfer should not have been used in this as part of I don't know why you just brought him up like he was, supposed to be the example of but honestly, I think he's willing to sit it out. He's making a gamble, right? So he's gambling that if he can get out or force his way out of Green Bay, that he could recoup that money and then some with the next team. Knowing that he's about to lose out. So I think he's betting on himself. And the key to, I guess, if Green Bay does well or not is, what Jordan Love looks like. Like, that's the big mystery. No one's actually, witnessed him. I guess some people have. It's like Pandora, like you don't know what's going on there. As far as like what he even looks like. So I guess if he looks good, then it's a smart decision. I guess that's what they're playing because they don't seem to be making a move on him. So I guess that's where I'm at with it. But
yeah, we will find out here in about a week. We'll start to see it because the practices are not quiet. Folks, let us know in the comment section below. And if I didn't say before, please tell us who you think the GOAT MMA fighter is and obviously what you think should happen over in Green Bay. Okay, it's finals time. You guys actually know more than we do for once. Just to refrain, we do pre-record The Wire on Monday, so we missed Game 6. It happens after we record. But as of right now, on Monday, we're going to talk NBA Finals. I want to start... We're at Trey. Trey, just overall, what are your thoughts on the finals? Right now, the Bucks, they came from they started out pretty rough. It was 1-2, I think, when we last talked. They are now on the squib match tomorrow, or scrub match, or whatever you want to call it. That's not what it's called. Somebody correct me when it's your turn. But they're on their way. They could technically close this whole deal out on Tuesday. What are your thoughts?
I don't know if this is whether I'm being a product of the moment, but the Bucks look like they are thoroughly outplaying the Suns. The Suns look thoroughly outmatched. They don't know what to do with Giannis. They can't stop Chris Middleton. They're doing what they want. They're getting what they want. They can't stop Pat Connaughton. Pat Connaughton looks like Steph Curry. Honestly. And if they're going to want to win, they're going to have to not only stop Giannis, but they can't allow Chris Middleton and with Drew Holiday to get what they're getting either. Like, everybody's firing on all cylinders.
And so I hate your overall
hero ball.
I keep doing it. Sorry.
And they're playing what I thought, but they're playing one-on-one. Booker's getting 40 points a game, but Chris Paul's giving you nothing. And although DeAndre Ayton has putting up good numbers, it's almost like you just kind of look up and he has those numbers. You don't really see them. They're not impactful throughout the game. So I think that they have to figure something out on defense. I'm not sure whether it's building a wall. I don't even think they're really trying to build a wall. But they're allowing him to be Giannis. So where he usually folds, he's like thriving him. And he's getting all his points in the paint. He's not taking jump shots. And the one he does takes are wide open. And the fact he's not afraid to take them is what makes him who he is and makes, Ben Simmons who he is.
Sahi, man, what are your thoughts on the finals so far before we get into the details here?
It's my thoughts on the finals. I think it's going how I kind of planned it. I knew it was going to be a tough, close finals. I thought it would be the other way around at this point. 3-2 for the Suns. And like I said, when we in another episode we talked about it, I said that the X factor or the most important piece for the Suns in this final is the bench and the young players. And that's what the coach is not letting rise. As Trey said, they're getting nothing from Chris Paul. because they're expecting too much from Chris Paul. So he's not going to give you what you expect. But the young players have been playing exceptional. Even last game, what's his name? He went 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 from 3, and Chris Paul is turning the ball over. Yeah, Mikal Bridges, and he was playing phenomenal. Let the young guys run a little bit more. Yeah, Chris Paul is your guy; he's your leader. But it's late in the season. Those guys that you brought in as rookies aren't rookies anymore at this point. It's their this is the point where they're supposed to step up and take over. But besides that, you know what I'm saying? I hope it goes 7 games. And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist here. You know what I'm saying? I want to leave conspiracy theory completely out of this. But I just gotta say, those refs, man, are they paid off? It looked like they trying to give it to Giannis. It's like they had a meeting, was like, Giannis is our young star. LeBron, we finally got LeBron out of here. We're not gonna let anything stop us from complete world domination, and we're gonna give this finals to the guy from overseas, Giannis, at all costs. So if those Suns players breathe on them wrong, you blow your whistle. That's what they're saying in the meetings. You blow your whistle.
Anthony Davis.
Right. You know what I'm saying? They even brought LeBron in there last game, the mastermind, like to remind the rest of who's really paying y'all. You know what I'm saying? There's something going on. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on the finals. It's been good. It's been close. It's kind of, but I just thought it would be the other way around. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Oh, man. Okay, where were we? Richie. We're on overall thoughts, and then the bridge question: what's the secret sauce in Milwaukee? Also, do you think there's any weird conspiracy between AD, LeBron, and the refs that are refing the finals?
I mean, how do you follow that? I mean, Jesus Lord. What I'll say is CP3 needs CPR. I think we're all on the same page with that. Clearly, the refs are not rigging this, Sahi. Because Devin Booker should have been like fouled out both games. Like, if anything, it's the other way around. Booker has been like fouling, and it's very obvious, and they're still letting him play. Like, so I don't know what you talk about.
That was one play.
And all I gotta say is here's my pick real quick before I get into the analysis. Is LeBron James gonna be in Milwaukee? Because if he is, Milwaukee's winning. I don't know why he shut up. They were doing just fine. I know it was two at Phoenix and then 2 back at Milwaukee, but he ain't repping his homie until game 5, and then he does, and then they lose. So, I think he's just the albatross. I love LeBron as a player, but he just had to show up and jinx them. Everyone was undefeated at home, and Bron has to come in and talk. Like, why don't you come for game 1 or game 2, man, if you're going to support your friend, dude? Like, what a jinx.
Get pressed for Space Jam, man.
I mean, Space Jam.
He's on cereal box.
Yeah, and that's a terrible movie, by the way. Terrible. I watched it for free, and I want my money back. That's all I'm going to say about that movie. Back to the game. Here's what I'll say.
$14.99 a month.
Yeah, $14.99 a month. I guess it wasn't free. Give me my $15. Here's what I'll say about that. Like, I'm with Trey in this, and that Milwaukee looks unstoppable, but at the same time, to the narrative, what I would like to say is these are improbable wins. They were down at 15 at one point, ended up leading at the half. Phoenix shot like over 40% from 3, over 60% from the field, and they lost the game. And Chris Paul had played like ass, and they still barely lost the game. But having said that, even though it's as improbable as it is, with all of them going as well as they did, and Drew Holiday having a come out game, his defensive plays were literally we can talk about the points. Giannis did well. Middleton's playing well. And when Middleton's on fire, it's like the Klay Thompson effect. When Middleton's scoring well, they can't lose. And right now he's scoring well. But, the difference is Drew Holiday this game. If he doesn't play, defensively, let alone the offense. I think he had 28 points, but defensively, like a dog, like he did. If he didn't get that strip, and if he didn't trust Giannis, like they could have held the ball, and who knows? Phoenix fouls them, 3 points, they get the possession back. But he went for that alley-oop. He trusted Giannis, and they closed that out. It was incredible, but quite frankly, this has been just a weird series. But that's why I like it, because at the end of the day, like I just mentioned, all the factors where it looks like Phoenix should be able to come back and win, I don't know if I can rely on them, because they have these leads and then they're blowing them at the end of, they're blowing them. So why would you give them any consistency? But to me, this is parity at its finest. You had 2 wins at home, 2 wins at home, and you had a real nail biter, quite frankly. This was an entertaining game. And it's really unfortunate that these small markets with this entertaining series and this parity, and they're close, they're not getting the views because it's not LA and it's not this and it's not that. I've loved these NBA finals. I think this has been fantastic. I know we haven't really called out the lead, but I'm just going to go for it. Milwaukee in 6, to me, I just don't see it. Drew Holiday's playing great defense, and he has been the whole series, and they haven't needed him to necessarily score. Now, don't get me wrong, he can, and he's a dog, and he had those 28 points. But if he's like, we talk about CP3 needing CP, the reality here is maybe it's just Drew Holiday's just dominating him these last couple games, man. Drew can guard anybody, and let's put it said best. Kevin Durant, multiple players, Jamal Murray, LeBron James, a lot of these guys have said Drew Holiday is one of the best defenders in the league. And the fact that he's not an all-pro defender on the team, the all NBA teams, is very bizarre. But this just goes to show you that it doesn't matter what the media considers best. It's what the players do. And a lot of these guys say they hate having to play against Drew Holiday because he's going to, all 90 feet, he's going to be an annoying dog. And that's what he's done. And so to me, his defense alone is going to be the difference, because my concern has always been, is Giannis going to be stupid and take these jump shots? But it looks like he's finally like, you know what? No, I'm just going to dunk it. And to me, I think that's going to be the difference. I think Giannis understands in this series what he needs to do. And honestly, since Shaquille O'Neal, nobody has had the numbers he's had. Giannis is going to be the MVP, even though, Holiday and Middleton have played a huge part of this. Giannis is playing fantastic. That should be noted. Outside of Shaquille O'Neal, nobody else has played in the finals like this in a long time. He's phenomenal. Middleton's playing great. Drew Holiday's been amazing. Honestly, the entire Bucks team has played fantastic. Lopez has had a game or two. I just don't see it. Phoenix is statistically game in and game out look like the better team, and then they're just failing. So to me, this is Milwaukee's time. And I don't think Phoenix has a chance in terms of like getting this game 7. I think it ends on Tuesday night. And I think next week on The Wire, we're going to be talking about, can Giannis win another one?
So Richie, just to clarify before we slide over, you said Drew Holiday's secret sauce in Milwaukee, right?
Drew Holiday is the secret sauce in Milwaukee for sure. He's the underrated factor. Everyone talks about Middleton, but Drew Holiday is the secret sauce.
I think it's interesting. All the podcasts and stuff that everyone says that Drew Holiday is the most underrated player in the league. Like all Up in Smoke, the Knuckleheads podcast, everybody says Drew Holiday is one of the most underrated players in the league. Every time you play him, you need to take a nap. You need to go to bed the night before. It's not something you just slack off on. And you said something interesting about Lopez having a big game. It seems to be they're physically dominating the Suns with their size. And that's how they keep, even with the points that they're scoring, they're still getting, throughout the game, they're getting the second chance points as far as getting the possessions on the rebounding end. Just because they're just way more physical and they're just stronger and bigger than Phoenix. And it shows.
And who did you have as secret sauce on was it Drew Holiday also? For Milwaukee?
I think the fact that Giannis is able to get his points as efficiently as he's been able to get them and still make great decisions about when to be aggressive and when to dish, because Giannis assists have been on time and right, especially, and he gives them to everybody. It's Pat Connaughton, it's Middleton, it's Drew Holiday, it's Lopez, not Robin Lopez, it's Lopez. Like, he just seems to get in there and know exactly what to do and where they're at. But I mean, clearly Drew Holiday's defense has been fantastic. A-level.
Absolutely. Sahi, what is the secret sauce in Milwaukee? Take us home, my friend.
I mean, I said it a little bit. I alluded to it earlier.
He's gonna say the refs. I gotta cut him off.
Hey, you got me. I'm watching the game too, y'all. I'm not. You got me. You know what I'm saying? I know what it is. Y'all know. Y'all really know what it is. I'm just saying what y'all thinking. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying what y'all thinking. I love y'all takes, and they're very, very professional. But come on now. There's something wrong going on. And for it to happen in Phoenix, Chris Paul just barely put his hands up on Giannis while he dunking on him because he don't want to get dunked on. And they call a foul. And y'all's defensive player, secret sauce, Drew Holiday, he basically shoulder tackles Devin Booker and steals the ball from him. Come on, man. And that's not a foul? Somebody cooking the books, man. Somebody cooking the books.
I didn't mean to interrupt him, but I saw his face.
I'm not laughing,
I saw the
man.
smile, and I knew this guy was about to say the goddamn ref.
This is not a joke, man. This is serious, man. Something going on.
He said some cooking the books is going on.
Oh, okay. This is
Coach Monty should have went to the wrestler. Y'all call this game fair, or I'll go to the papers. No, yeah. I don't know. That's probably not it. Like, yeah.
All right, folks. You heard the questions. You're going to see the finals, possibly play the rest of the way out, or at least Game 6 before you see this episode. So tell us in the comments. Tell us off if we were wrong. What do you think the secret sauce is? Do you believe that LeBron has got a mastermind group of refs sabotaging for the sake of Giannis? Or anything else.
Sabotaging his own friend, by the way.
Right.
For the sake of Giannis, who he doesn't know at all.
Maybe LeBron doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't know.
Won't join me for workouts. That
guy. Whatever you think is going on, please let us know in the comments. You can find us at H2G Podcast.com, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, where all audio podcasts are found. Please check out our previous episodes at all those same locations. Make sure you check out H2G Podcast. They just dropped pretty awesome Ghost Hunt. And that's all I got for the week. We'll be back next Wednesday and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all have a good night.
He broke me. I mean, I've been doing 3 seasons with him, and this is the episode I couldn't do it.
Yeah, my bad, man.
No, man, you gotta keep doing it. You gotta keep doing it. It just, normally I don't key and shit, but like, man, I couldn't. Every single one. I was like,
I don't think there's never a moment where Sahi don't have me with my cheeks hurting.
That's what I'm saying. No, like, he always made me laugh.